Okay, I'm going to make a video about this that you're watching. Obviously, I made a video about how to solve the problems in the bootup. I'll probably make one of these each day after you've had a chance to do it during the day. So this is the bootup from Friday, the number table method. So as always, we're writing a method as we're going to read the description here. This is a method that takes a single int argument and returns an array of that many ints where each element of the array has as its value the index where it occurs. So there's about three things going on here. So the first part is we have to write a method. And whenever we write a method, the first thing we have to write is the method signature. And some of you seemed a little confused about that terminology, so I'm going to review it. The method signature is just the first line of the method that starts with public. It can have static. I usually leave the static out. We'll talk about when you have to have one or the other later, but public, and then I'm not going to take these in order. I'll put them in the order that we think of. The method, one of the most important things in the method signature is the name of the method. So in this case, number table. Then we give the arguments that the method takes, which we usually get from our specification, or if we're writing the method, whatever we think we need. So in this case, it takes a single int argument. So we declare a variable of type int, and it just seems to be a number, so we'll call it n. And then the last thing that comes textually earlier in the method signature is what type it returns. And this method is said to return an array of ints. So that now we know we got to put something here, which is the return type, and then we have to remember how to write the type of an array of ints, which is int bracket bracket. This is how we spell array of ints. So you know you're trying to return an array. It's going to be something with brackets, in this case, preceded by int, which tells us what it is an array of. And so that is our method signature. This is a method that returns an array of ints that's name is number table and that takes a single int argument. And then we can write the body. So now we know, because we just wrote the return type is an array of ints, we're going to return an array of ints. So that very strongly suggests that we need to make an array of ints because we weren't handed one. So it's going to come from somewhere. So we now declare using the same type. Again, this is the type array of ints, a variable, and we need to make a new array of ints. So there's two ways to make arrays. One is where we don't specify the size, but we specify the contents, whatever it is. This is an array of 4 ints with 4 values that could be anything. But in this case, we don't know what values we want. We just know how big the array is supposed to be, right? It said it returns an array of that many ints. So we were given a single int, n, and so we're going to use that. And the other way to make a new array, where we put the value of the, a value inside the brackets that says how big the array is. And we can go ahead and sort of put the skeleton of this method in place by now going to the last line of the method and saying return table. So now we at least have a compilable method in that it said it returns an array of ints, and we've made an array of ints, and then we've returned it. And so the compiler will be happy. The tests will be less happy, particularly when we look at all these arrays that are bigger than one element. We have a problem where the array we're supposed to return is supposed to contain some particular values, not just all zeros, which is what we get when we make a new array using this construct. So now we've got to fill in this array with particular values. Every spot in the array has a different value, so that's a job for a loop. So now we go ahead and write our canonical loop. And the canonical loop over an array uses the length of the array as the bound on our comparison. Now we could also, in this case, use the variable n because we know that n and table length are the same because we just made the table to be of size n. I have a very slight preference towards, nonetheless, using table.length just to show we are looping over this array. We have made it, and now we're going to use its inherent length to loop over it and do something with each element of the array. And that something is we're going to initialize each element to the value, which is kind of oddly the index where it occurs. So basically, as you can see here, when we have a 10 element array, the values are 0 at the 0th element, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. So basically, we're going to assign, using this array access expression, this is the ith element of the array, whatever I is, that'll be that, and then we're going to assign it the value I, and run that, and now everything is green because we have made the array, initialized every element in the loop, and then returned the array. And now I can hit format document, and that is that. So that is the first solution, or the solution to the first problem in this series. And on Monday, probably before you have watched this, you will see the second problem, and then later I'll make a video about how to solve that one. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful, and until the next time.